What's up? What's up? Oh, looks like Kevin Yee is also doing a Sunday live stream. My bad to Kevin, because I'm conflicting with his viewers at the same time. But anyways, figured I'd do a casual live stream since I was in the process of responding to questions, and I figured why not bring these back and answer some questions. So this is gonna be pretty casual. Don't know what kind of questions I've got. I just know that my messages are a bit backlogged right now. So I'm just going to go through the different questions. If you guys have any questions who are in the live stream, feel free to leave them in the chat and I'll just kind of get to them when I get to them. But aside from that, whoa. If you were not aware, I actually have a Ask Me Anything form that you can fill out to submit questions. I've been trying to use that to better focus on questions because I get messages from way too many platforms right now. So to answer questions in the order I receive, I've been using this spreadsheet. Check it out in the description. It has a link to it if you want to use that. But I'm going to go through that and then go through a couple emails and take it from there. So let's see. The first question I have here is from someone named Samira. They said, I am a second-year BSPS undergrad student, but even though I am very young in this process, I still like to think about what I want to do in the future and if pharmacy is really worth it. Should be interesting. I really loved your video on the pharmacy job market and how it became saturated, especially because I feel like colleges wouldn't tell us this since they would be losing students. What would you recommend as the next steps for students who plan on going to pharmacy school within the next 10 years? It's hard to predict the future, but I think the video that I created on the pharmacy job market, specifically the return on investment or ROI, is pretty much what sums up my thoughts on it right now. I don't think that pharmacy, if you're considering it as a student, is really worth it right now. In the video, I also mentioned that unless you're super, super passionate about it, like you had a whole family of pharmacists that have been in the profession, I probably cannot recommend it right now. It's just way too saturated. Perhaps it'll fluctuate in 10 years, but it's just not something I can recommend right now if you're pre-pharmacy considering it. Second question, for example, would you recommend going into the research or the technological side of pharmacy so that we can avoid the saturation as a traditional pharmacist, or should we avoid doing anything pharmacy related at all? If you're interested in pharmacy informatics or anything related to research or technology to avoid the saturation, I would not recommend going to pharmacy school and specializing in something else to get there. I would probably avoid pharmacy altogether in the short term. We don't know what's going to happen in the long term, but in the short term, it's not something I would recommend. So probably avoiding it altogether. All right, that's one question. Moving on, we have another question. This one's related to MPH programs or public health. I have an undergrad degree in microbiology. I'm applying for a master's in public health epidemiology with the focus on epi of infectious diseases. I'm applying to Johns Hopkins. Are there any specifics regarding the Bloomberg School of Public Health that should be added to my personal statement? Yes, there is actually. If you go on the Hopkins MPH website, they have an admissions blog, and they have one of those blogs that talk about what they suggest you include. And the things they suggest are different than the other MPH programs I saw. So I definitely recommend that you check out their website for that. I can't remember what those were off the top of my head. I have no financial backing. I'm really interested in getting a graduate assistantship, but I don't know how to go about it. I have corresponded with admissions though. They said a GA link is usually put up for students who are offered admission. I'll be grateful if I can hear how application of the graduate assistant process works from you. So I have no idea. I would recommend to continue to contact admissions and ask them how it's going. I did not apply for that. I don't know. What's going on, Fazil? I don't remember if you were still in the DMV area, But if you are, we should definitely meet up and chill. Thanks for commenting for the algorithm. Looks like they have another question. I'm interested in infectious diseases. Which Bloomberg Research Center would you recommend? I have no idea either on that question. If you're interested in a particular center, I would probably recommend looking up the faculty of certain centers, and the faculty that interests you the most, go involve yourself in that center. That's probably the best I know. What's up, Johnny? Where is out west, Fazal? I didn't know you moved. I feel like you might have told me that, but I don't remember. All right. Next question. This one is about pharmacy informatics. So this person is a foreign pharmacy graduate. I am 43 years old from Nigeria. I'm trying to do some exams here so that I can get my license to practice pharmacy. I'm interested in pursuing a career in pharmacy informatics. How do I go about it considering my age? Personally, I don't think age is a factor. I know a lot of people go into it way past the typical ages. So I've seen people in their 40s and 50s enter it as well. So I don't think age is a huge factor. I want to be relevant in the pharmacy field. Kindly give advice if advisable to pursue a career in health informatics. Yeah, I mean, I think health informatics in general is a great field. Advice? Health informatics is a very broad field. I don't know if I have any specific advice aside from trying to figure out what part of health informatics you're interested in, because the advice varies depending on where you are interested in the broad landscape of health informatics. Lots to look about on there. HIMSS, AMIA are two great resources. And since you're interested in pharmacy, ASHP, those are three great organizations with a lot of resources that can expand upon different areas in health informatics. So highly encourage you to look that up, see what piques your interest, and then maybe circle back with another question. What is the easiest way to achieve it? I don't think there's any easy way to achieve it per se. Probably just doing more research on where you want to go, and I can probably give you more specific advice on that. Is there any other pharmacy field that I can consider too? ASHP and ACCP and APHA have great resources on all the different areas of pharmacy you can get into. Highly recommend you check that out. I usually say follow what interests you. There's a lot of fields out there. Just browse what's out there and see what interests you. Temporary in Vegas. Oh, Vegas is fun, man. How long have you been in Vegas? I didn't even know you were out there. Remote telework. It's pretty dope. What's up, Tony? Tony says age is just a number. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Fazal says he's 34 going on 35. My body feels it. Mine does too. Brian, can we share this AMA on the health Discord, health tech Discord? Yeah, of course. Certainly. Share the AMA. All for it. I am not prepared for anything right now. I just wanted to answer some questions. Go for it. All right, next question. We have an epic specific question. So the question is, it looks like they want me to blank out some stuff here. They're working for blank company and have been allocated to blank company's project. This company demands me to study EPIC certification. I've just completed my degree in 2020. Congratulations. And I'm from the EEE department, which I think is like electrical engineering or something. I don't remember. I should look it up, but I'm too lazy. Please help me as soon as possible. So is EPIC certification easy or tough? I say it's pretty difficult. I studied a lot for it. What will be the pattern and passing mark for each topic in pattern? I don't think I really understand the question. Passing rates are not very high. Let's just put it that way. And it's not an easy exam. You have to study for it, like hours, if not days and weeks. I don't understand that question though. I saw many fields like ambulatory like this. Which one is easier to clear? Easy is relative to the topic and your expertise. If you have experience in ambulatory, it's probably easy for you. If you don't have experience in it, then it probably is not easy for you. I don't think any of them are easier. It just depends on you. How can I study for this EPIC certification? So if you have been given this project, you will likely be given EPIC access. And when you're given access to a specific module, there's an entire training companion that you'll be provided, and you literally just follow that. It walks you step by step through the content, walks you through homework, quizzes, assignments, projects, and ultimately different exams. It's very, very simple. Just go through that, and that is the best way to study. I can elaborate in the future, but they'll talk more about it. It's fairly simple and straightforward. Passing percentage is quite difficult, I think. And what's your opinion on that? I agree with it. It is difficult. In online, where do I find resources? So again, you were likely provided access to Epic. So Epic's user web, their Galaxy, has everything you need. It's just like a Wikipedia. You can just search anything and you'll find all the resources to study. All right, next question. This one is from Florida. Very cool. From Ellis. So this is a question about pharmacy. So Ellis says, I am one of your fans and I greatly appreciate all the pharmacy related videos you upload. They have all been helpful. I am currently in my last year of pharmacy school and I'm in the middle of applying for PGY1 residency. Exciting times. Stressful too. Congrats on this part of your journey. I am applying for residencies in both Florida and New Jersey. I saw from Florida and I saw you were from Florida, and I was wondering if you could possibly explain how applying for out-of-state residencies work regarding NAPLEX score, reciprocation, MPJE, score transfer, etc. This is kind of a difficult question in some ways. Difficult and not difficult. Difficult in the sense that it depends on each state. So I guess I could technically look up New Jersey's requirements, but it'll probably take a while. So I'm not going to do that. I would suggest you doing that. But basically, before you apply, I'll give you examples basically. So in Georgia, I remember that they had additional hours that were required to be licensed in Georgia, and hours that were beyond the hours that my school provided, which means I would have to go out and do additional hours beyond APPEs because I didn't do a lot of internships to meet the requirements to get licensed in Georgia. Because of that, I probably lazily didn't apply to any residencies in Georgia. So there are certain requirements that you should look up before applying. With that said, I wouldn't recommend diving too deep into the different details in the license transfers. So I license transferred to Utah, to Minnesota. Yeah, Utah, Minnesota. And each one of them are very, very, very different. If you're accepted to a residency program, the residency director and the current residents, they're very helpful. They usually always send you like what you need to do, requirements, like the documents, what you need to study for, and things like that. But everyone is very different. So both Utah and Minnesota, transferring the NAPLEX is fairly simple. You go on the website, you say you're going to transfer to this state, you follow whatever requirements they tell you to do. Some of them are like fingerprints, birth certificates, just different documents that you need to mail them. Every state is different. Just follow that, but it's fairly simple. The MPJE is a little different. Most of the time, you just study for the exam, but some states, Ohio, I believe, is one of them, where you just have to attest that you read and know the laws, which is super awesome. You don't have to do much work. You go there, you attest, and you're done. But Utah, Minnesota, I actually had to go read the requirements and then study for the MPJE specific to those states and take it from there. It's just a lot of steps. Go to their state board of pharmacy, look up what the requirements are for the license transfers, and that is your source of truth right there. It's just very different for each state. Hopefully that was helpful. Thank you in advance for your help. I have been searching online regarding this question and could not find any easily understandable appropriate answer. To be honest, I don't think a lot of the State Board of Pharmacy resources are very easy to digest anywhere. But if you are curious about a specific state, I think one of the best resources actually is the residency program itself. So if you reach out to like the RPD or the current residents saying you're interested in applying, ask them for tips like, hey, how did you transfer your license? What did you use? when you went through the process, and they usually have the best information. All right, let's see. Moving on. Those are the questions I got in the last couple weeks on the Excel. Now I'm going to go to my email. Let's see. Oh, this is a long question. Okay, let's start. This is a question from Jessica. Jessica says, "Hi, Brian. I watched the YouTube videos in your channel on pharmacy informatics, and I wanted to thank you for sharing your knowledge and experience and the time you spent creating the videos." Thanks for that. Appreciate that. I'm a pharmacy technician with 19 years of experience. Wow, that's awesome. And a career in pharmacy informatics sound interesting to me. I deal with billing, like Medicare, medical, solving various insurance problems, etc. I also work with inventory management tasks. These are areas that I'm good at and was hoping pharmacy informatics is the right career path. Can be. I have a few questions I was hoping you can answer. Is a bachelor's degree required for a career in this field? So technically, no. I know people who work in this field without a bachelor's degree. Some only graduate at high school. Doesn't mean you're necessarily be competitive per se, but it's I just know that people have worked in this field without a bachelor's degree. I probably wouldn't say they're very competitive, though, if you're in this job market right now. Will more opportunities be available with such a degree? I'm not sure exactly what you're getting at there. This is probably not, how should I say this? The more degrees you have, the likelihood of you looking competitive is probably higher. That doesn't mean that I recommend you go get every single degree out there. So I'm hoping that answers the question. Will more opportunities be available with such a degree? If there's a degree in such an area, I would think that having the degree versus not having it will make you more competitive in general. But doesn't mean I necessarily think you should get it, because there's ROI, right? Cost and time. Is there any certification that is required for pharmacy informatics? So pharmacy informatics, it is quite broad. It depends on your job and roles. There are some pharmacy informatics jobs that are very heavy in reporting, and they may require technical skills like SQL. There are certain pharmacy informatics jobs that entail a certain EHR vendor like Epic, and Epic does require you to have certain certifications to work on their module. So it depends is kind of the answer. Kind of depends on your job that you're interested in and the role. Hey, Judy's here. Hello, Brian. Do you think the pharmacy profession has gotten saturated? Are your parents from China? So to the first question, yes, I definitely think the pharmacy profession is saturated. I think it's been saturated for quite some time, unfortunately, and there's a whole host of reasons why. Pharmacy schools opening and the barrier to entry decreasing are definitely big factors in that part, unfortunately. And are my parents from China? Yes, they are. I am a first generation. So I was born in Florida, and then my mom came from Hong Kong and my dad was from China. Let's see. Thanks for being here, Judy, by the way, Judy. And if those who are following on my audience, I don't think many of you, actually, I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but Judy has a YouTube channel on law, a very interesting one. So you should definitely check that out if you are interested in learning more about different topics in law. It's fascinating. Okay, I'm considering going back to school and have been researching healthcare information management, healthcare information administration, healthcare information technology, registered healthcare information technician. That's long words, man. Which degree would you recommend? That's a great question. You know, a lot of job titles nowadays, in my opinion, are not greatly worded or are very vague. I think what's important in looking for jobs is actually looking at the job responsibilities, what you're actually doing in a particular role. So without really knowing what those roles entail specifically, the degree is difficult. But the fact that each one of those positions contain the word healthcare this is just my personal opinion. I don't know how many other folks share this, but anything that involves healthcare and technology, I think that you should have practiced as a healthcare professional and have some degree or certification as a healthcare professional, be it you're a pharmacist, a pharmacy technician, a nurse, a NP, a PA, a physician, a dentist. I think it's always important to have that when you're going into one of these fields, because if you're going to be a healthcare technologist or healthcare informatician or informaticist, whatever, I think the strongest individuals are the ones that have had practice experience in healthcare and then transition versus the other way. But then again, a lot of people who start out the IT route don't do the healthcare route. So there's a huge gap in knowledge there. I always recommend some type of practice experience in healthcare if you want to pursue it. So degree-wise, definitely some healthcare experience. Looks like you're already a pharmacy technician. So any healthcare bachelor's would probably be fine. I don't think there's any I don't have a good sense of which one's better than the other right now. G says, what are your thoughts about working retail like for CVS? I don't want to turn this into a Reddit thread. So my general thoughts, I've never worked for a CVS. I have worked for another major chain in the past for just a few months. And my experience was that it's not the right fit for me. It's a very busy environment. And I felt that it just wasn't a right fit. That is all. That could be a very contentious topic with the major retail chains. My thoughts in general, I've seen a lot of comments from my retail friends who work in major chains like CVS, Walgreens. And I think the general feedback is that basically, yeah, noisy, stressful. It's just a lot of work. So probably it's just not for me. Some people love it. Some people don't. I'm not someone that gravitates towards it. Okay, there's 30 questions in this email. So the next question here is, do you know how likely companies out there would accept online degrees? These are these questions could go either way. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely companies out there that would accept online degrees. It kind of depends. I don't think the degree necessarily is always what's most important. I think connections make a bigger difference, your network and what you have actually done. So different projects that you've worked on. For pharmacy technicians that work in healthcare informatics, do you know what kind of tasks they work on daily? That's actually a really good question. It really depends on the job role. I've seen pharmacy technicians do all sorts of roles in pharmacy informatics. I've worked with many amazing pharmacy technicians that do lots of things in there. And I think it depends on the role. Some of them I've seen work on order sets, some work on building medications. Most of these cases, they are usually reviewed by a pharmacist afterwards, but I've seen them do all sorts of responsibilities, building different clinical decision support tools, doing user interface design, working on interfaces, doing billing, all sorts of different things. Typically, what I've seen is that the pharmacy technician's work just gets checked by the pharmacist at the end of the day. Do they make more money than pharmacy technicians in general? Not always, surprisingly. So informatics, I don't know if it's the same for technicians, but in general, pharmacy informatics for pharmacists make the same amount as a pharmacy manager or supervisor. You're more an administrative or supervisorial, or your pay grade is usually at that level. So typically you make more than a pharmacist. As for technicians, I'm not really sure. I've actually seen pharmacy technicians in an informatics role make less, but it probably depends on your organization and that specific role. So it probably varies. But in the world of pharmacists specifically, pharmacy informaticists typically make more than their typical pharmacist counterparts, is what I've seen. Sometimes it's different. Do you know rough idea on their salary ranges? I don't know that. Yeah, I'm not sure well, the only one I know, I did do a video on a pharmacy technician that did the consulting route. And I've talked to a couple pharmacy technicians that went the consulting route, and many of them, surprisingly, made the same amount as a pharmacist. That blew my mind. But that was a couple years ago. That landscape has probably changed. And the jobs out there, what I've seen is that they're gravitating towards more informatics pharmacists rather than informatics pharmacy technicians. The pay scale is probably across the board right now. Whoa, lots of questions. I'll be blunt and say online degrees are generally frowned upon. Yeah, probably very true. So let's see. Tony says, how often do you think an informatics pharmacist should keep up with new technologies? I feel like Tony is putting me on the spot here. Which a quick shout out to Tony for anyone who may not be aware of Tony, which I'm sure many of the audience members are. Tony has an awesome podcast that I recommend to everyone that is interested in pharmacy informatics, Pharmacy IT and Me. Definitely check it out. It is probably the most robust source of pharmacy informatics out there right now. Definitely check that out. Didn't mean to avoid the question here. How often do you think an informatics pharmacist should keep up with new technologies? That's a good question. I think it depends. And I'm thinking from me being selfish. I personally don't keep up with new technologies as much as I should. I think it's very difficult for those of us in pharmacy informatics to keep up with, at least for me, being more in a clinical hybrid role where I try to keep up with the infectious disease guidelines. I struggle with that, to read all the different data and articles and journal articles that come out, and also keeping up with the different bioinformatics articles that come out. How often? Here, what I'll say? The way I do it is I typically subscribe to reputable organizations that provide a daily feed of information, of the most pertinent information pertaining to a particular field. So ASHP has a daily briefing that I read every day. I scan the document for what's going on that's most important in the pharmacy landscape. So I curate it so I'm up to date with what's going on. And a lot of the stuff that's going on right now is like the vaccine policies. That's important to know. And then also with informatics, I'm subscribed to AMIA's daily feed. And so I hear all about the newest legislation, newest technologies they're pushing out, and I will scan that as well. That doesn't really answer Tony's question. How often do you think an informatics pharmacist should keep up? I guess as much as you can, to the point where it doesn't prohibit you from having a good work-life balance. It's probably a cop-out answer, but that's my answer. Razia says, I'm CISSP certified. Is KT going to help in any way? I don't know what KT is, and I'm not familiar with the CISSP. I probably should be. Let me look that up. But I don't know what KT stands for, if you want to elaborate on that. CISSP is Certified Information System Security Professional. That's awesome. Information security is always a hot job market. Pharmacy technicians in informatics can range in a really high role. I have worked with one who made almost twice as much. Wow. That blows my mind. So for anyone who's watching, Tony says, pharmacy technicians in informatics can range in a really high role. I've worked with one who made almost twice as much as a pharmacist. That's very surprising. That's pretty cool, though. So the sky is the limit. Absorber says, what are some positions in pharmacy informatics that a technician could apply for? That ranges a lot. And I think every organization, it just differs by organization. Some organizations may be comfortable with pharmacy technicians doing certain roles, and some organizations may not. If you really are interested in seeing what positions are out there, to be honest, I'm not familiar with all the different job postings for pharmacy technicians, but just go ahead and Google Indeed and look up pharmacy technician roles in pharmacy informatics, I think you'd be surprised to see what types of roles are out there. It just depends, and it changes a lot. LSD, I'm assuming that's Johnny. What's good, brother? True. LSD, if that is Johnny, that is one of my awesome fraternity brothers from UCF. Judy says, sorry, I have to go now. Thanks for the shout out and supporting my live streams. Have a good week. Thanks for coming, Judy. Eugene says, where do you see a pharmacist who has full stack dev knowledge within the informatics space? Full stack in terms of front end, back end, and infrastructure development. Now, that is a very interesting question. So I see, I mean, the sky really is the limit. I think the natural thing that comes to mind is big tech. Your Amazon, your Google, your Microsoft, your Facebook, Apple. If you have developer experience and a pharmacist background, I would be looking right at big tech right now. Big tech, I'm sure many you have seen, big tech has been partnering with every healthcare organization out there to provide different cloud services. And if you have development background with a pharmacist background, they're heavily recruiting from those spaces right now. So big tech, 100%. The types of roles that are available, I would say, is like all over the place. I have no idea what they're hiring for, but they're looking at so many different opportunities. Just big tech. The types of jobs that are out there, probably working on something related to artificial intelligence. That's what I would think. If LSD says, if I was a full farm tech, would you hire me? Oh, it is Johnny. What's up, man? Yeah, man, I'd definitely hire you if you were a farm tech. I'd hire you if you weren't a farm tech. I'd hire you just because your name is LSD. So SCon says, hi, Brian, P4 here who decided to apply to residency programs next year, finishing a dual degree in informatics and other certifications and research. Congrats to you. That's a lot of work. Do you think this may be a good call in the long run? Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm always like, I try to play devil's advocate in different options. There's always two sides to the coin. Good, yes, because I think that technology is dominating. You can even look at the stock market, right? The technology stocks have just blown up. There's so much technology right now, and especially the advances in technology in healthcare have been huge and exponential. So having both a healthcare background with a formal degree in informatics, I would say is certainly awesome. But on the flip side, having formal credentials doesn't necessarily mean anything either. You can have 5 PhDs in all sorts of fields, but not be good at your job and not be competent. So I think a lot of it comes down to the things you've done, the different projects you've had, and the different experiences you've had. So do I think it's a good call? Yes, I absolutely think it's a good call. The other thing is, like, I personally value being trained at different organizations. So I actually did not pursue a dual degree at my organization because, one, I was lazy, and two, because I value getting my degree training from other places. They used to say that about UF Medical School and FSU Medical School. If you went to UF undergrad, UF Medical School was less likely to accept you because they want you to get training elsewhere, and vice versa with FSU. But I just value that. But in general, I would say on paper, that looks great. LSD said, just stop by to say hi. I'll let you get back to the real stuff. Thanks for stopping by, man. Razia says, is it going to help? It's not KT. It was a typo. Oh, okay. So this was about the information security question. Yes. So if any of you have been following where healthcare technology is going, you would know that the 21st Century Cures Act was finalized, parts of it, the big parts with technology, specifically the ones related to CMS and ONC, huge piece of legislation that's been in the works since 2016. Highly encourage you to read the highlights of that. But a big part of what they're trying to do is to mandate FHIR API as the standard terminology to be used across all healthcare entity or across many healthcare entities. They're not mandated for certain ones. They went back on some of that language, and with the pandemic, it actually got pushed out with some of the timelines. But when you're trying to share information across all these healthcare entities, information security is like one of the largest concerns right now. If you have an information security background, awesome. You got some job security with what's going on with where our legislation is going. So yes, absolutely. That is super awesome. We cannot have too many individuals who are trained in that space. So I would say you're very marketable to have that. Mimi, oh, what's up, Mimi? If you had to go for a new job, non-healthcare informatics, what would it be? Huh. Let's see, new job. Well, I actually, I don't know how many people know this, but I actually thought about dropping out of pharmacy school after my first year because healthcare was never my interest. I've always been interested in engineering, game design, stuff like that. So I was thinking about dropping out of pharmacy school after my first year to pursue computer engineering or material science. Those are the areas I was studying before I switched to pharmacy in my second year of college. So probably something in engineering. Otherwise, if money wasn't an issue, and I know this wasn't your question, but I would love to be a stand-up comic. I've always wanted to make people laugh. That's something I enjoy doing. Otherwise, dance. I like dancing, so I'd probably be a dancer if I had better skills. But anyways, that's what I would do. Escon says, thanks for the feedback. Awesome, man. Congrats. Oh, good luck on your residency applications. Dr. Sankar Raja says, so what's your view on pharmacogenomics in the scope and future? Ooh, that's another great question. Well, I can say that pharmacogenomics has always been a hot topic in informatics, always super high, and it's been huge for many years. The cost of doing genomic testing. You know what? I wonder if Mimi's still here. Mimi actually just did a presentation on pharmacogenomics. She could probably talk more about that too. But pharmacogenomics, it's always the cost that has been a limiting factor. And they keep saying that the cost is decreasing to the point where we can do genomic testing on everyone in the scope in the future. I think the problem is with operationalizing pharmacogenomics. Pharmacogenomics is extremely complicated. And your ability or our ability to take genomic data and build it into an EHR and make it meaningful and usable is challenging. So I'm part of CPIC. If you're not familiar with CPIC and you're interested in pharmacogenomics, you should definitely be knowledgeable of CPIC. Go check it out. I think it's like the clinical, let me see, what does it stand for again? I don't remember. Clinical Pharmacogenetics Implementation Consortium. It's an international consortium of volunteers that aim to operationalize pharmacogenomics in the healthcare space. It's exceptionally difficult because I've been on calls with them and how we even categorize what the different genotypes and phenotypes are and what we should do in terms of modification to drug therapy isn't agreed upon. So it's just very variable. For the scope in the future, I can tell you that there's a huge part of the 21st Century Cures Act is to put more funding towards that too. Definitely think it's part of the future. I just have no idea when. And to be honest, I'm probably ignorant on all the different innovations that have been going on in this space for the last few years. So I don't know what the timetable is, but I can tell you from a legislative perspective, there's a lot of money and funding that's going towards that in our government, or at least in the US government. I don't know if you're in the US. Tony says the roof is on fire. Appreciate that, Tony. I see what you're doing here with the dad puns. I see what you mean. Alex says, hello. Hello to Alex. Min says, how can I learn more about a career in pharmacy informatics? Where do I even start? Well, selfish plug here. Where can you learn more about pharmacy informatics? So there's a lot of people that ask us that question. Well, Tony Dow, David Vu, Beju Shah, and myself started the Pharmacy Informatics Academy about a year ago because we always get a lot of questions about pharmacy informatics, and we have gotten that question so many times. And unfortunately, there hasn't been a lot of great resources out there that share pharmacy informatics. So in the last few months, actually, most of 2020, we've been working on a free online course that walks through some of the most basic questions about what pharmacy informatics entails, how you can learn more about it, and how you can get into it. I would highly encourage you to check that course out. It's like a 3-hour course. It's free. Just register and you can learn more about it there. Just go to, I don't remember our website, pharmacyinformaticsacademy.com. And there's a link to the course. Go register for the course. It's a great introductory course to learn more about pharmacy informatics. Aside from that, ASHP, AMIA, and HIMSS are 3 organizations I always recommend to students when they want to learn more about informatics. But it's not as curated in some of those sites. Not that they're bad, it's just not as, it doesn't walk you through certain things. So the course that we created walks you through some of those basic questions. Let's see. David Coe says, hi, Brian. For someone who is trying to transition into informatics, what certification or training would you recommend? That's depends on a lot of different things. I usually don't recommend certifications or training in specific things because it should be more about the role that you're applying for. Naturally, a lot of people think about learning how to code and things when they're trying to get into informatics, but that's not always necessary. Is it helpful? Absolutely. I had a background in programming languages, C++, Oracle, Java, HTML. So I knew it. And your ability to understand how a computer thinks, how computer reads languages, like the syntax, the logic, and how they process information is immensely helpful in the field. But typically, I don't encourage any specific training or knowledge because I don't know what role you're interested in. But if I were to say transitioning, one, I would encourage you to take the course that we created, which is free, for you to understand if you're actually interested in informatics, first off, because a lot of people aren't actually. They think they are, but they aren't. So one, check if you're interested. And then two, certifications and training. If you're interested in pharmacy informatics, the only formal certifications I know of right now that's related to pharmacy informatics is ASHP certificate. You can do that one. HIMSS offers like the CP HIMSS and CA HIMSS, which is more informatics in general, not necessarily specific to pharmacy informatics. And AMIA has been working on a clinical informatics certification for the last, 7 years, that hopefully will come out in the next 2 or 3 years. But I would probably recommend those for general informatics certification or training otherwise. Dr. Moom Rusan has done a lot in pharmacogenomics with informatics. I think I remember that. Yeah, there's a lot of like bigwigs in pharmacogenomics in informatics. If for those of you who are interested in pharmacogenomics, if you go to CPIC's website and you look at the member list, you can see which members are involved in informatics too, and probably you can reach out to them on LinkedIn and pick their brain on that. Hi guys, says, would you do pharmacy again? That's a interesting question. I think that, hindsight's 2020, and what jumps off the top of my mind right now is that pharmacy was an easy choice for me because I can't see blood. I'm not really good with blood. I get very queasy. But if it wasn't for the blood, I probably wouldn't. I don't think I would do pharmacy again. I was very interested in chemistry, which made me gravitate towards pharmacy as well. But I wouldn't do med school if that's what you're getting at either. I could not imagine myself in that kind of work-life balance as a physician. But some of the other ones, I don't know. If I were to do it again, I probably wouldn't even do healthcare, to be honest. David says, oh, nice. David linked the course. Appreciate that. Yeah. So for those of you who are interested in our pharmacy informatics course, it's free. Go check that course out. Let us know if you have any feedback. We released it just this past October. Razia says, thank you so much. I'm in Pakistan and starting my day. You just super boosted me to change the world. Woo! Awesome. That's a success right there. Love you and have a great week. Those are the comments that I sincerely appreciate. I'm glad when I'm able to inspire you guys to do more in your life and to help out the world. We could all use that right now, given the pandemic. Mimi says, LMAO, what stand-up? I need to see this. I know I'm not that funny. I'm trying to be. I'm working on my comedy, Mimi. And genomics, I definitely think there's potential, but needs more implementation for studies, which will happen with funding. Great answer. Oh, LSD still here. Okay, all the big words and acronyms are hurting my little brain. I'm out, but keep doing what you do, Brev. Also, let's do stand-up together. I'm 100% down. I wish I could do stand-up. I'll just watch you and let you do stand-up. I appreciate that. Oh, Wilson's on. So Hair Drum is Wilson. He's one of my good friends. If I'm an undead rogue, should I go to it's always the gamer. So for those of you who don't know, I used to be a huge gamer. I haven't touched games in a while, but that's a reference to World of Warcraft. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the world of gaming, I am a undead rogue. That's my main character in World of Warcraft, and there's a profession that I chose, which is tailoring, which is arguably the worst profession you can choose. I don't even know why I chose that, to be honest. No, you should not go tailoring. It's a terrible idea, but it's also annoying to reskill. Anyways, did not expect that. Absorber says, how do you get a job at a company that will sponsor you for EPIC certification? Well, I will say it's hard in general. I mean, that's a hard question to answer because it depends on the job, depends on your credentials. There's a lot of variables there. But what I can say, though, is that the ease of getting into a company that will hire you and train you in EPIC certification is arguably decreased a lot versus the last decade. You know, in the last decade, there were many EHR implementations due to meaningful use. Most large organizations, or most organizations in general, have already implemented an EHR. And because of that, not many are going to sponsor you because there are a lot of qualified people who already have EPIC certifications. So that's a very hard question to answer. How do you get a job there? One of the best things I always say, and it's very cliche to say, is just networking. Building your network, work on projects, volunteer at committees, get to know people. Your reputation, the projects you work on, and the experience you have will get you far. But probably not the best answer, but that's probably all I can say on that. David says, engineering is best for PvP. I would agree with that. I think most rogues went engineering. I don't think I've ever done engineering. And was it like usually engineering and mining were the two professions? I just thought it was very annoying to go like dig up stuff, you know. I don't remember why I chose tailoring either. Hi guy says, do you think the pharmacist who spoiled the COVID vials gave pharmacy a bet? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like anyone who spoiled the vials that's terrible. I mean, we're in this pandemic right now, and I don't even know what to say about it. Yeah, absolutely. That's terrible what they did. Even if, let's say, I don't want to provide any misinformation out there. Let's just say that, let's say pretend that the vaccines were a conspiracy theory and it was all fake and whatever. That gives you no right to go damage someone's property. Like in general, that's wrong. It's terrible. Yeah, I gave pharmacy a bad name. David says, thanks, Brian, for the info. I'm definitely going to check out that course tomorrow. All right, guys, this went way past what I expected. This is like 49 minutes. I was just going to jump on quickly, and I feel like I only answered live chat questions, which is awesome. I'm glad so many people was able to tune in. But I'm going to wrap up now. I actually need to head to bed. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to be trying to do more of these live streams in the future. I wish you all a happy new year. I hope that I see you all soon. Let me know what goals that you guys have. I'll be jumping on. I'll try to jump on weekly to answer questions and just chat with you guys. But until next time, guys, thanks for tuning in. See ya.